Researcher notes. During the summer vacation of 1976, I met a classmate of mine, and she excitedly informed me that there would be a newcomer in our class. Her news didn't make much impression on me, and I was indifferent to this information. But on August 31, I had a dream in which I and the whole class were sitting at desks at school, and the teacher came in and announced that we had a new student. She asks us to love and respect him. Then the door opens, and a guy in a beige suit appears. Light jeans, beige shirt, and a beige vest on top. A blonde guy with wavy hair and gray eyes, with a slight smile, makes me admire him. I was particularly surprised by his clothes. At the time, we didn't wear such outfits in our area, especially the denim vest. Pants were usually blue, and vests of that color were not common then. On the morning of September 1, I arrive at school, and we are waiting for the teacher. The door opens, and our teacher enters, repeating the words from the dream. "Guys, we have a new kid. Love and appreciate him." Then a young man with dark hair and brown eyes, dressed in a white shirt and ordinary pants, enters the classroom. It would seem that the dream came true, but somehow not completely. A few years later, I moved to another city. Graduated from university, I work. And in the summer, in the evening, my friend and I go from the dormitory to the disco. Two guys pass towards us. One of them stares at me, approaching me. He is seriously interested in me. I thought his behavior was strange, and I thought, what a fool. But then they follow us to the bus stop, enter the same transportation as us, and get off at the same station as us. Then we see them at the disco. The weirdest thing is that I didn't ponder that one of the guys might have liked me. But it started to bother me that the guy who was looking at me looked like the guy I had seen before, wearing the same clothes he was wearing in the dream. Slow music is playing, and that guy comes up to me and suggests we dance. We start dancing, and I recognize that he knew me, although he said it was his first time in our neighborhood and I had never been there. We discuss where our paths may have crossed, and he says that I am very familiar to him, but he doesn't know where exactly he may have seen me before. He claims that he chose this suit for the first time because he received it as a gift from his cousin, who brought it from overseas just 2 days ago. He explains that he decided to wear it today. What keeps me going is the strange feeling that I've seen him in this outfit before. When I told him that I had seen him in this outfit, he claimed that it was impossible because his clothes were bought specially and he was wearing them for the first time. But this dream, which recurred every 5 years, confirmed my certainty that I had seen him in that outfit. We were married on January 13, and it is also remarkable. Despite the years that have passed, this amazing event continues to linger in my memory. How life can offer such surprises and unpredictability. There have been many strange and unexplained situations in my life, but one of them was the most traumatic and difficult for me. In the year 2023, in November, I was working as a checker at a marketplace. One night, I went out to the gazebo to smoke, and suddenly, I felt that the world had changed, as if it had shifted, and I felt uncomfortable. I thought that a new stage in my destiny was coming, and I decided that I should just let things unfold naturally. A month later, in December, tragedy struck our family. My oldest son passed away in a car accident. He was only 34 years old. This loss shattered my soul, and I felt that a part of me remained in another world where my son lives. Although I cannot confirm this logically, I firmly believe that he is alive, and this feeling cannot be pushed out of my heart. Now I remain here, and it is incredibly hard for me to cope with reality, but I have not lost faith that my son lives in another dimension. Things disappear and reappear all the time. I've gotten used to it. If I remember I left a thing in the closet and it's not there, I know it will show up later. Someone is borrowing them. Dreams occur as simulations in which I may be the observer, or someone is watching me. All events reappear as little tasks to be completed like in-game. Sometimes I even realize in my dreams that I am dreaming, and then I start mockingly improvising. The watchers don't like this, as such tests don't count against them. Hiding from surveillance is useless, as observers know all our thoughts and can penetrate our dreams. I constantly feel someone's presence in the apartment. Sometimes I feel footsteps, objects move, but in general, everything is calm, not disturbing. It is clear that our simulation is under control and they are constantly watching us. The most amazing episode of my life. In our settlement, a girl hanged herself. I never saw her, but then rumors spread that she hanged herself because of me, because we quarreled about something. I thought at the time that it was a cruel joke, but today I know that everyone has a doppelganger. Apparently, my doppelganger knew that girl, but I didn't see him either. Most likely that doppelganger came from a parallel world. That rumor still lives on, but what can I do? Go prove to everyone that you're not a bastard. And I didn't know that girl at all. I've never even seen her face, and I don't know what she looked like. That's the funny thing. It's an interesting matrix we have here. It's like everybody's crazy and talking nonsense in all seriousness, and I'm like an idiot having to listen to them. There is a place for sharing unusual events, and I have many. I'll tell you about one that involved many people. My son, his friend, and I were driving along a highway near Voronezh. I was tired of paying tolls and decided to use the free old highway. The navigator was working fine, everything seemed to be in order, but suddenly we found ourselves in a strange place. There was a settlement. Houses were behind high fences, but for some reason there was a dusky fog. No lights, no sounds, and even no air movement. People there behaved strangely. They walked the streets, strolled, but they were silent. Sepulchral silence. No voices, no birds whistling. We were filled with a feeling of fear, though we did not know why. We lost our bearings and the navigator stopped working. We had questions about what to do next and felt trapped. I decided to try an alternative route that took us along the forest. It was much more difficult than expected. The path was narrow, overgrown with trees, and covered in a thick layer of dust that made it difficult to breathe. The forest resembled scenes from horror movies, like in fairy tale movies, with drowning and sagging branches to the ground. Tension was building inside us. When we reached the edge of the forest, we saw a clearing with more than a dozen cars, mostly expensive models. I looked in my mirrors, and all the cars from the clearing rushed after me as if they had not seen this road before me. And the strangest thing, we arrived exactly where we had turned off the toll road, and it was light again. I shared this story with my brother, and he was surprised because he had a similar situation in the Voronezh region. I saw my double. I looked at him for a long time. He sensed it and began to turn his head in my direction. I realized that now he would be afraid of me and turned away. A few hours later, I experienced clinical death. My life experience includes unusual moments, but once I experienced a real horror. It happened many years ago when I was traveling in St. Petersburg. I needed to get to Vostokhnaya Square via the metro. This route I knew very well, but one day, instead of the expected point, I found myself on Nevsky Prospect. Immediately, I realized that this could not be true. Several times I repeated this route, returning to Nevsky Prospect. I realized that this was not normal. Once again, when I got off at Nevsky, I decided to do the tricky thing in case I was hallucinating. I asked a stranger what station it was. She, "Can't you read?" I tried to explain to her, but she shook me off like the plague. Then I decided to ask for help from a young man who was going to Vostokhnaya, and I went next to him, trying to explain the situation on the way, and in vain. As soon as we entered the carriage, packed with people, he began to squeeze into the interior. Pushing people, I shouted him, "But I cannot work with elbows." As usual, instead of Mayakovskaya, I found myself once again on Nevsky. Having admitted to myself that I had lost, I wanted to eat and lie down. I went upstairs, took trolleybus, one I don't know if it runs now, went to Vostania. Nevsky did not let me go for about 4 hours. I've heard stories of people wandering in the woods. They say, Aleshi circling. But to be like that, have you ever experienced anything like that? Somehow my memory is all jumbled up. I can't quite put it together. When I was 14, I dated a guy 18 years old, but he left me for a friend of mine who was 16. I found out by accident. I went to church, and he was there with her. At the graduation at school, they were together, and she told me that she was pregnant by him. But in the army, I saw him off, and his dad said that he should make me a child, that when he came back, I already had a child waiting for him. I do not understand what I refused. It's too early for me in my 15. He went into the army. My friend and I were going to study in the city after school together. But her mom wouldn't let me go. I talked to him on the phone when I was in high school. I texted him once. I got a reply. "Who are you?" I said, "Dima, have you forgotten who I am?" He said, "I don't know you." We decided to call. It turned out I got one digit wrong in the phone number, but Dima was there too. My Dima was serving in Kherson, and that one studied at the military academy in Khmelnytsk. Or vice versa, I don't remember the cities, but both cities have the letter X. He thought I was joking and decided to check me out, asking me questions about what he looked like. I answered that I do not know when I have never seen him, and in general it's just a coincidence. I said he was tall, blonde, although my Dima was dark blonde. He replied that I was right, which confused me. For a week, we tried to explain everything to each other and stopped communicating. And in the summer, I came home, and my friend said that she was pregnant by Dima and they were getting married. And they wanted me to be their cousin, pun intended. How could it be like that? It's like two parallel reality. A year ago, an amazing incident happened to me, which made me think about how strange events in our lives can be. At that time, I didn't know that it was some kind of failure of reality in the Matrix, but now I am sure that it was exactly like that. At first, I was even afraid to tell about it, because it seemed as if nobody would understand what happened. It was like this. I had to go to the hospital, and I decided to use my old Volga, which I had inherited. To shorten the way, I decided to take a shortcut through a narrow passage. As I approached the hospital, I had to make a 180-degree turn near a pillar and then stop in front of a curb. There was a road next to it, and a little farther away was a walkway for ambulances and a canopy over the entrance to the building. I started to turn and was about to slow down, but suddenly realized that the car kept moving forward despite my attempts to hit the brake. It just wasn't responding. I flew over the curb and slammed into the wall of the building, narrowly missing a canopy post. My heart was pounding with fear, so I got out of the car to assess the damage. I walked around the car, looked at the damage, and then some nurses I knew ran up to me. They started oohing and ahing, and one exclaimed, "What have you done?" Here I involuntarily remembered my relative, who once got into a similar situation, and how after that went endless talk, gossip and gossip throughout the village. I was horrified at the thought that they would talk about me in the same way, and that's when I cried out, "No, I don't want that." And suddenly I heard the front wheels of my Volga cross the curb again, and then I woke up. I looked around and saw that I was standing on the pedals, although I should have been on the brake. I quickly spun the steering wheel and turned into the ambulance lane, pulling over to the curb. I stopped and froze in shock, trying to figure out what had happened. Perhaps my car was suspended in space for a moment, and then came back to reality, continuing to move when someone or something let go.